I'm trying to determine whether it's this a person problem that you ended up in this position where you don't know about investigations that are happening because they're being directed by the IPID.
What happens when an institution's problems go beyond individual mistakes? That question is now at the center of the Madlanga Commission's examination of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption, or IDAC, main story. Matthew Siseko was asked whether IDAC's challenges were mainly structural or personal. In his response, Siseko acknowledged that some rules were not followed and admitted, "I should have acted differently." But his testimony raises an even bigger question. Would speaking up have actually changed anything? Siseko suggested that even if he had raised concerns earlier, he was not sure if it would have made any difference. That statement has sparked debate over whether the problems facing IDAC are simply the result of individual decisions, or whether deeper structural weaknesses are involved. If rules exist but are not consistently followed, accountability becomes difficult. And if people believe raising concerns will not change anything, that can create an even bigger institutional problem.
I'm trying to determine whether it's this a person problem that you ended up in this position where you don't know about investigations that are happening because they're being directed by the ID, and who chooses Mr. Perumal, Mr. Pariachi, and others. Is it a problem that a different head of investigation would have been correct to say, I'm head of investigations and I will not be excluded from investigations? Or it's a misunderstanding of your role by both you and the ID, that you are also subject to that rule of practice, that you don't need to know what's happening in matters. I think, put simply, is this a structural problem? Is it we happen to have the wrong people in the positions. We have the wrong ID in the form of Ms. Johnson, who did things the way that she did and excluded you, or we had or we had a wrong head of investigations who didn't assert his role and position when he gets excluded. Can you just say which one it is? And the question is important because, at least from where I'm sitting, because among the things that the Commission is required to do is to make recommendations, including recommendations about what improvements, changes need to be done to the organization. So we are going to have to grapple with how did IDAC land where it is today. Is it a structural problem? Is it that whoever employed Ms. Johnson just made a bad decision? Whoever employed Mr. Siseko made a bad decision? You understand what I'm saying? What I'm asking you. Can you just comment to that?
Chair, the fact of the matter is, in this particular instance, rules were not followed. And I took a decision at that point in time, as I explained in my affidavit, based on my personal history. I take full responsibility that I should have acted differently. But at the time, for me, it was the right decision to take, given the considerations that I've said to the Commission.
I understand, and thank you for that answer. It's trying to understand what's behind my question, whether in terms of your contract of employment, which sets out what your job is, you could have asserted to the ID, even if she didn't like it, you could have said, there is no investigation that will happen that I don't know anything about. Does your contract, the terms of your contract, give you that kind of standing, or it's a problem in the contract because maybe she still gets to make decisions finally about investigations? I'm trying to understand that. So I'm trying not to make it personal to you, but to understand what are the limitations other than your personal circumstances. Another head of investigations, will they not find themselves in exactly the same position for different reasons?
Chair, Commissioner,
Perhaps to add to that, besides the contract of employment itself, or in addition to that contract, there are the annual performance, what do you call them, which you sign with your boss, undertaking that you are going to perform in accordance with, and then, as I understand it, there's itemization of all of everything that you undertake, you are going to do during that year. Am I correct that there is such a thing? What is it called?
that is correct. The performance agreement.
Yes. Now, I'm adding to what Commissioner Baloyi says, which is a reference to the employment contract itself, and I'm saying there's also this performance agreement. Would what you are required to do not also be, it would obviously be included in that, and would it cover what Commissioner Baloyi is raising, and if it would, what would you be assessed on if not on that? That is what it covers, which includes the issues that Commissioner Baloyi is raising. At the end of the year, how do you get assessed if you've not said, now if you do not allow me to do A, B, C, D, how am I going to be assessed at the end of the year? So basically that contract would require of you to raise the issues that Commissioner Baloyi is referring to. Now can you please respond, with all of that in mind, can you please respond to Commissioner Baloyi's question?
Thanks, Chair. My performance agreement provides that I must advise the ID. As I've indicated that these matters were discussed and should take a particular position. I understand the concerns, and in hindsight, maybe I should have taken this issue even further and not let it be as I did. But that's what, to me, at that point in time, seemed right to do. As I said, that maybe I should have acted differently by raising this issue at a higher level, so that what now has been ventilated here could have been stopped. I do, however, I'm, however, not sure if it would have made any difference.
Sorry, you make it.
No, I was saying that I'm not sure, however, if it would have made any difference.
And I'm really asking because I want to understand whether some of the problems that we have become aware of are.
A new revelation from the Madlanga Commission is raising questions about how decisions were made within IDAC. Main story. Matthew Seseko testified that the ID allegedly overruled Ramsamy and sided with Perumal during an ongoing conflict. Ramsamy was subsequently removed from matters linked to the dispute. But there is another important issue. Seseko said the ID took on a decision-making role that, according to the manual, should have belonged to the DDPP. The situation becomes even more significant because Seseko himself was excluded from the final decisions.
And I'm really asking because I want to understand whether some of the problems that we have become aware of are the structural problems of competing jurisdictions, and therefore the one body ends up dealing with matters that they shouldn't. So if you exclude the gratification issue, you received a complaint. That's how it's, as I understand it. Mr. Adams filed a complaint and said General Lushaba lost his computer and there was a cover-up. That's how I've understood it to be, that there was a cover-up. And the cover-up goes to even his superior, even General Kumalo, even though General Kumalo was not his superior at the time. But the cover-up goes to General Kumalo, but also now someone took an affidavit at a police station and they misrepresented some things. Forget gratification for now. On the facts that I'm putting to you, would you still have said this is an IDIC matter?
If there was no issue of gratification and alleged corruption, it would definitely won't fall within the mandate.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Soko, you can continue with your affidavit. We are now dealing with the conflict between Advocate Ramsamy and Chief Perumal, paragraph 46 of your statement.
The conflict, the ID called me into a meeting to help resolve a conflict between Chief Perumal and Advocate Trushanda Ramsamy. As I understood it, the conflict concerned the approach to the case. Advocate Ramsamy, as a prosecutor, had taken a particular legal view with which Chief Perumal did not agree. The meeting was resolved on the basis that the parties should listen to one another, consistent with IDEC prosecutor-led model, and that the prosecutor is ultimately the person who must take the decision on the matter. This is how the issue was resolved. I must, however, indicate that in subsequent meetings where I was called into or brought to my attention, it appeared that these conflicts continued, and Advocate Ramsamy was concerned that as a prosecutor, her views seem to be overruled by those of Chief Perumal, and that the ID seemed to take more the side of Chief Perumal than her side.
Do you recall how many other meetings related to conflicts between the two took place?
I honestly cannot recall. They were varied. Sometimes Chief Perumal would come to me. Sometimes Advocate Ramsamy would come to me. Would have a discussion with the ID. You know, so they were varied. I think because of that and the fact that Chief Perumal was not happy with Advocate Ramsamy, ultimately she was also removed from the matters.
Did you not supervise Chief Perumal's work? I mean, if there was conflict between him and the lead prosecutor in the matter, because he reported to you, was that not an opportunity to then look at what he has done and supervise him and provide guidance?
Yeah, we would have a discussion about these conflicts, as I said. And in the nature of how our project works. And it's also in the manual that all the discussions in relation to the project must actually happen at the level of the team, so that even when there are these disputes, the matters would be dealt with at the team level. So where you would have opinions of the entire team in terms of how the matter should be progressed, what needs to be done, what not needs to be done, and the deputy responsible for the matter would then take the ultimate decision if there is no amicable solution within the team. In this situation, unfortunately, the lead, instead of the DDPP, was the ID. So she would then take the ultimate decision on how the matter would proceed. So she would then overrule the opinions of junior prosecutors like Advocate Ramsam to say this is how I want it to go. You know, I agree with Chief Perumal or whatever the case may be. So that is how in this specific matter it turned out.
So the head of investigations is excluded from all of that. You don't play a part at all.
That decision making is that of the ID. I would not be included in that decision making. We can have a discussion, but she ultimately take a decision. This is how it is going to happen, and it would happen that way.
But